How much time does an HR spare to go through the resume or CV?
It takes around 6 to 10 seconds of time for a recruiter to either reject or select a resume.
If a student is making a resume for the very first time, what is the A to Z structure they should follow to make it professional as well impactful?
It has to be neat, clean, and readable. That's the first thing. It should not be, content heavy. It has to be context heavy.
So, what is the basic difference between hobbies and interests?
See, hobbies is something which is my favorite time pass.
Okay.
Right. I can say my hobby is cooking. Right. My area of interest relates to conducting workshops, seminars. Maybe interacting at different programs, events, and all that related to HR trends.
Okay. If a student has only 7 days before campus placements, what should they do to improve their resume quickly?
We talked about quantity, numbers, and all that, which are very important. The more numbers, the better it is. But again, it should not be only numbers and numbers.
Namaskar. Welcome to Udaan Academy podcast by Trupti, the show where we talk about communication, confidence, and limitless possibilities. We do empower the youth and women of Orissa by inculcating confidence in order to choose right career of their choices and live their life in own terms. In today's podcast, we are diving deep into knowing about a document which opens many doors to opportunities. Yes, you got me rightly. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ କଥା ହଉଛୁ ନା ଚାକିରି କଥା, ଚାକିରି କୁ ବହୁତ ପିଲା ଭାବନ୍ତି କି ମୁଁ ସ୍ମାର୍ଟ ଅଛି, ମୋର ଇଂଲିଶ କମ୍ୟୁନିକେସନ ବହୁତ ଭଲ ଅଛି, ତ ମୁଁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଫେସ୍ କରିବି ନା ଆଇ କ୍ୟାନ୍ ଇଜିଲି ଗେଟ୍ ଥ୍ରୁ। ଇନଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟ ବିଫୋର ଦେ ସୁଟ୍ କ୍ୟାଜୁଆଲି ଏବେ ଆମେ ଏକ୍ସପର୍ଟଙ୍କ ସହିତ ମୁଁ କଥା ହଉଥିଲେ, ସାର୍ କହୁଥିଲେ ରିସେଣ୍ଟଲି ଏବେ ଗୋଟେ ଇଣ୍ଟରଭ୍ୟୁ ସେ ନେଉଥିଲେ ଯୋଉଥିରେ କି 10 ଜଣ ପିଲାଙ୍କର ଇଣ୍ଟରଭ୍ୟୁ ନେଲା ଭିତରେ ଗୋଟିଏ ପିଲା ଆଭରେଜ ରାଙ୍କରେ ଆସିଥିଲା. Not because the student was not smart enough. The only thing is, a part of smartness, we do need some other things. That is basic and fundamentals of whatever you are into. Then one single document which allows you to get into that room to sit with that expert. And that document is none other than your resume or CV. Without delay, join me welcoming Dr. Ajit Kaur sir to the show. Namaskar sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Kemti achan sir?
Bahut bhola. How about you?
Same here sir. Yeah. Sir, as a faculty ମୁଁ ବି ପିଲାଙ୍କର କ୍ଲାसेस ନିଏ ଆଉ ମୁଁ ଜାଣିନି କେତେ ଦୂର ମୁଁ ପିଲାଙ୍କୁ ଠିକ ପଢେଇ ଆସୁଛି ଆଜି ଯାଏଁ। ପିଲାଙ୍କୁ ମୁଁ ଶିଖାଏ କି ନର୍ମାଲି ଗୋଟେ HR ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ ରିଜ୍ୟୁମ କୁ ସେମାନେ ଧରନ୍ତି ହାତରେ they spare maximum 5 to 6 seconds. Okay. As an expert into this field, what would you say, like exactly in your perspective, how much time does an HR spare to go through the resume or CV?
So, Trupti, yes, a very good question which you asked me right now. See, resume is something, generally I say that is the first identity of somebody, of a candidate to the recruiter. So before the candidate reaches, the resume reaches and all that, and the resume has to be fantastic. It has to be, so much, so good, that once the recruiter sees and says that, yes, this is the person who should be shortlisted for the round of interview. Now, in HR, basically there is a term called as blink test.
Blink test.
Yeah. Okay. So you just blink and it takes you 6 to 10 seconds of time.
Right.
So that is what an HR, basically a recruiter, a hiring manager basically takes time to shortlist or shortlist, reject or select a resume. So even Naukri research says that it takes around 6 to 10 seconds of time for a recruiter to either reject or select a resume.
Okay.
So understand that first 6 seconds, 10 seconds of time, you're just blinking, and that is what is the time a recruiter basically gets to select or reject a resume.
Okay.
So that is what is most important.
So it means almost ठीक important.
Yes, you're right.
Well, sir, with this, the next question for you on behalf of the students or the audience, whoever are watching this podcast right now, if a student is making a resume for the very first time, what is the A to Z structure they should follow to make it professional as well impactful?
Okay, very good question. So you see, generally students, they get confused when they have to make a resume.
Yeah.
So they understand, resume is something which has to be, it has to look good. It has to be, fancy. There has to be.
They
graphics.
make it very colorful.
Yeah. So let me tell you, all these things need to be ruled out.
Okay.
So a resume, the first thing is has to be neat and clean. So generally I say when you go for a party, what you do, you would look the best,
Right.
and you would like to dress yourself the way so people get attracted towards you.
Right,
They would
right,
come and
right.
speak to you. So that is what your resume has to be. That doesn't mean that it has to be fancy.
Okay.
It has to be neat, clean, and readable. That's the first thing. So if you have to talk specific pointers which should be there in a resume, so starting from the basics, the name and all those in the header. So after header, so what should come in a picture is about the professional summary. Now, if you're talking about header, so basically, so earlier what used to happen, like when you're talking about resume, let me tell you that resume could be chronological, it could be hybrid, it could be functional resume.
Right.
So these are the kinds of resume. So today, so earlier people used to have a chronological resume. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right?
Okay.
Like
It has to be in chronological order.
So used to do, like people when they apply for a marriage, so they generally do a chronological resume.
Okay.
Right? So and when it's a government, like position and all that, so the resume format you see is mostly chronological. But today we are talking about functional resume, hybrid resume.
Okay.
Which should talk about a functional resume should talk about the skills, capabilities, and all that. Similarly, a hybrid resume, which is a mix of both.
Okay.
Right. Now, when you're talking about a functional resume or a hybrid resume, what are the important elements which should reflect in a resume? So, maybe the first thing is the header. So, header should just include your name, maybe an email ID, and very importantly, your LinkedIn profile URL.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that much. So we do not need to write too many things because.
So what about contact number?
So see, we can always include a contact number if it is required and all that. So anyways, when you are dropping an email or maybe today every resume is going through an email communication or maybe on a WhatsApp. So anyways, once you drop an email, you will have an SOP, statement of purpose. So why you applying for the job or why should I hire you? Anyway, you're gonna write and then you will have your signature and all. So below that, anyways, you're going to mention your number. But still, that as you rightly said, we can always mention number, email ID, and our LinkedIn profile URL.
Okay.
So maybe that we'll talk about that LinkedIn URL. Why? Now coming down to the header segment. Next, a profile summary could do. So earlier we used to write career objective. So these days people are writing profile summary. So then we can mention our key skills, technical skills, soft skills, functional skills.
So it has to be written in bullet point or in paragraph?
It has to be. It should be bulleted. That's what that's what I'm saying. The more specific, the precise it is, the better it is, and it has to be readable. It should not be content heavy. It has to be context heavy.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So
if you can generalize this to technical words.
Sure. So when I'm saying content means let's not write too many things.
Right.
Let us write context. Why I'm applying for this job? What is the JD is all about? What does the JD job description talks about? Because we cannot have one size fit resume for everything else. It has to be a customized resume. So when you're making a customized resume, so how do? You see the JD, the job description, the job profile. Based on that, you're gonna make your resume. That's the one important thing. So maybe header, then a profile summary, your key skills, then internship projects, live projects, academic projects, industry exposure and all that should come in a picture.
Okay.
Then maybe any volunteering, position of responsibility, leadership abilities and all that will come in a picture. And then maybe, at the later part, we can mention areas of interest. So earlier we used to mention in resume hobbies and all that. So instead of that, what I generally suggest people write something which relates to your area of interest, which is actually relevant to your professional skills, capabilities, and the career you want to pursue.
So what is the basic difference between hobbies and interests?
See, hobbies is something which is my favorite time pass.
Okay.
Right. I can say my hobby is cooking. Right. But when I have to say my area of interest, now suppose I'm somebody else who has been in HR, learning, development, and all that. So I can always say my area of interest relates to conducting workshops, seminars, maybe interacting at different programs, events and all that related to HR trends.
Okay.
So something which relates to my area, my profession, means where I would like to build my career. That is what area of interest basically is.
Okay.
So these are the few things which should be there in a resume. But again, the most important thing is it should not be one size fit all. It has to be customized based on the JD.
Depending on the job description,
Absolutely,
it has to be customized.
Yes,
Okay.
that is most important.
Sir, if I would just customize once again, in a nutshell, you said resume or CV starts with header, and that header should consist of name, email ID, and LinkedIn profile or contact number. But address should not be a part of that.
Required,
okay. After this, instead of starting with career objective, it should start with profile summary, which should be bulleted. and it should highlight your profile.
Yeah, file summary can be a paragraph, so that's okay. That's not a problem. That's not a problem, but it should not be too lengthy.
Too lengthy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now here I would just like to let you know that again we'll have to see that whether the resume is generally we say resume is for a fresher, but again whether somebody else who's a fresher who's making a resume or somebody else is having some kind of experiences. So for a person who's having experience and all that, his or her resume would definitely a bit different than the person who's a fresher.
Right.
So maybe that's the reason we generally say that resume is generally for one page or so for somebody else who's an experienced person could be a profile instead of a resume.
Right. So then what would you suggest for the fresher? They should go for resume or
yes,
CV?
Definitely.
Resume.
For a fresher, it has to be a resume. It should not be more than a one pager.
Okay.
Maximum it should be two maximum, but generally we say that it has to be one.
It has to be one. Yes.
It has to be very crisp, precise, relevant, and best on the JD.
Okay,
That's
fine.
all.
So after profile summary, then area of interest.
After profile summary, the student can write about the key skills.
Okay.
Or key competencies, right? And then maybe educational background, then maybe about internship, life projects, industry exposure, anything else.
Sir, I'm getting one more question. I may forget, so better to ask. You said academics. They need to write about the academics. So is it necessary to write the percentage?
That most of the students generally ask, should I write percentage because I didn't do very well in my exams? Or there is a career zigzag, like maybe 50% and 70%, again 62%, and then maybe 70%.
Rise and fall.
Yeah. So let me tell you.
Yeah.
Few companies they would always ask for a career throughout career 60%. Right. Many companies they ask rather. So now there is no harm in writing. It's all about how do you present proof that.
Okay.
I'll share a short story. So I was mentoring a student of a premium B school, and the student, if you look at his career, was completely disastrous.
Okay.
But that student got a job with one of the reputed company, an MNC, and he's posted at Muscat right now.
Okay.
But you see the way he was able to present, the skill sets he brought, the extracurricular activities and all that co-curricular activities was awesome, super.
Okay.
And the kind of presentability he could bring.
Okay.
So these are also very important. So when we say, just not knowledge, with knowledge, skills. Both are important.
And usually students get confused in this thing, whether to write or not.
I would always suggest that write it because anyways, even for an example, you don't write right now. The company has a criteria and you are not matching it. But you have got selected. You have given your resume, you have got selected and all that. Now, what would happen during the background verification? Maybe during when you join in and all that day, or the document verifications and all that. So, anyways, you will come to know. It will be revealed. So, why to hide? You have already done something. Let us carry it, prove it. There is nothing to hide. If you are sure about, you can present it and make sense.
It absolutely depends on the person how you project all the things, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, sir. What are the first 3 things in a resume that immediately grab a recruiter's attention?
If you have to see through and through, I had been into HR, right? So, and I was a part of lots of campus interview processes. So, I have to talk about what are the 3 very important things. The first one is it has to be readable, neat and clean. That's what. Because unless until if it is too heavy, too much of things, I'll not be that interested to go through read and all that. Second is I'll say the key skills and capabilities.
Okay.
And third could be relevant exposure experience. So when I'm saying relevant exposure and experience for a fresher, now you might be having a question that what about the fresher? Because the fresher may not be having that exposure.
Right.
What to do about that? When I'm talking about a fresher, and it could be anything. So it could be relevant exposure in terms of internship, live projects. It could be any kind of industry exposure. So it could be anything else. Not necessarily that the intern has or maybe the student has worked or the person has worked is a fresher. That's not essential. But again, what are the kinds of project the person has done? What is the kind of exposure the person has? Whether he or she has done a right kind of internship and had good learning.
Okay.
These are few things which I would always see in a resume.
Okay. Sir, specifically for BTech and MBA students, what matters more in a resume? Academic marks or practical skills?
So I'll say it's just like if you have to go for a movie, so what do you need? The first thing, you need to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
And once you buy a ticket, you got entry.
Mm.
Now rest depends on the quality of the movie.
Right.
After that, you'll say, oh, my money is wasted. Oh my God, I enjoyed the movie. So either this or that. So that would it's entry anyways for getting, for an interview, for getting into an interview, for getting into a job. So you already have an entry pass, your academic qualification, degree, and all that. What is most important is how you perform.
Okay.
So I'll say academics are important. I'll not deny it. But again, that is just the key to unlock. But the success would depend on how do you project yourself. So I would say that fine, academic qualification percentage is required to some extent.
Okay.
And then what is important is your exposure, your experience, your presentability, your communication skills, and how do you bring value during the interview process.
So from your experience, what are the top 5 resume mistakes that instantly reduce a student's chance of getting shortlisted?
So instead of 5, I'll keep it 4.
Okay.
Right.
Fine.
So there is a short formula which I use. So I say QQGF.
Okay, what's
So
that?
it's not QQGF, right? It is QQGF.
Okay.
So it is quantity, quality, grammar, and format.
So how far grammar matters in
I'll come from So the first one is the qualitative resume. It should talk about quality. Quantification. The more quantification is being reflected in resume, so the better it is.
Okay.
So numbers, digits, facts, figures, right? Then I said format. Anyways, the structure. And then when I'm talking about grammar, there should not be any kind of spelling mistakes and all that. People generally tend to do. So you see, when I see a resume, so if I have to see a resume, what are the 2 things I generally see, right? Initially. So I'll see the format, the alignment and all that, even font size, font color, everything else. And then maybe the structure, the look.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Please.
Sir, if you can elaborate a little bit, like what should be the font size?
See, generally,
the font type also.
So generally, like if you talk about now, today means maybe like we are into ATS, and maybe we'll have more discussion on ATS, resume.
Yeah, ATS. Yes.
But let's understand. If you'll have to traditional, font size is times New Roman. Traditional font size is times New Roman. But again, if you have to talk about today ATS friendly and resume, like where the resume looks good and the score comes good is basically Calibri. We can use Verdana. So these are few fonts which I can use. So generally, I recommend Calibri, to be very honest. If I have to talk about myself and the kinds of resume which I generally ask students to prepare. So that is good one.
Okay. Sir, it is tikke clarity de do pillanku jo font size ta ame koile what should be the exact size of font. Even ame CV re lekhilale pilla age utte heading diyanti ta pore lekhante.
Heading size uda ame 12 rakhi pariba 12 bold. And so content so 11.5
there is no problem. Okay, fine, sir. Sir, hundreds of resumes reach recruiters for one job. What can a student do in their resume to stand out from the crowd?
Well, just like it's really a very tough question, So let me tell you, yes, definitely. So there will be 100 resumes, maybe 1 position, 10 positions, and all that. It's very difficult. So see, what's very important in a resume, which we have been talking since we started. So the key skills, the relevant exposure, experience, certifications, position responsibilities, volunteering. So what makes a resume different? For an example, everybody would apply, everybody would write the same thing, career profile, percentage, academics, internship, and all that. So what means, I generally say that you need to bring in a MAD in your resume. MAD is make a difference. Okay. So it's just not becoming pagal, it's just, like bringing in that difference in your resume so that it becomes unique. So how would you bring that uniqueness? Okay. So maybe it could be something which others, they have not thought of including in their resume. How a student can absolutely define what is their uniqueness? Yeah, absolutely. Very good question. Now you see, that would only happen during these 2-3 years of academics, professional education, or whatever they go for. And that's where we need to explore. In my institution, we run a DISC test. Test for every student, for the student to understand where he or she should specialize.
Acha.
It's a psychometric
Students
assessment
also
test.
get confused whether they should
yes,
opt for marketing or finance
Absolutely.
or HR.
So it's a psychometric assessment test.
Okay.
Where we try and make every student sit for this assessment, and then briefing, interpretation in terms of where you stand, what are the few things you should eye on, and what specialization befits you, suits you.
Okay.
So this needs lots of guidance, as you rightly asked, because it's for a student, it's very difficult for him or her to discover, explore where I stand and what's my uniqueness. So that can only be done through a guided process.
Right.
And institutions, they have to come up with those. So generally people say career development cell, or personality development sessions, soft skill classes and all that, grooming and all that, which would help students in terms of understanding that where they stand right now and what the kind of capabilities, uniqueness they need to bring in.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying, that uniqueness has to reflect in the resume.
Okay.
So it could be, like as simple as it could be volunteering. People generally don't write. It could be position of responsibilities. People generally do not write. It could be, like add-on courses.
Okay.
I'm not talking about certifications. Value-added courses. So maybe certification is something where I'm in HR and I've done some certification courses in HR. So I've done suppose on instructional design, organizational development, organizational behavior and all that. But I've done something on Six Sigma as well. Right.
Yes.
I've done something on project management as well. So that also adds, absolute value to my resume. So what is that, uniqueness I bring into my resume? So that's something which is very important.
So যদি আপনার পাখে সেমতি কিছু লিংক থিব মতে যদি শেয়ার করিবে আমি ভিউয়ার্স মানকো শেয়ার করদেলে they can get to know in which field they can excel.
Sure. So
which is psychometric analysis.
There is a unique test. Maybe I'll try and share. So there, people will come to know where they are good. So in terms of artistic, in terms of entrepreneurship and all that, and that would help them in like telling them about 3 core important areas of them. They'll have to do combination of 2 areas and where they have scored the best. Based on that, it would show that what are the areas they should eye on or they should build their career into.
For a self-analysis,
yes, we can do that.
Sure. Thank you. Well, sir, nowadays many companies we were just talking about ATS model, applicant tracking system. So how should students design their resume so that they pass these filters?
So let us first understand ATS.
Please.
So when you said application tracking system and all that, people generally, make the resume, ATS friendly resume, and put it into the ATS, software, and they score 98, 99. Oh my God, they become happy, excited. Let me tell you, it doesn't make sense always.
Okay.
Why? Because it's just not having 98, 99 score. It's all about job fitment, which is important.
Okay.
Now, how does an ATS work? Let me tell you the basic layman understanding. Now, what would happen? Suppose an ATS, now suppose an JD. The JD is all about a sales and marketing profile.
Okay.
A JD is all about a recruiter profile, hiring manager's profile. So what would happen? All those keywords in the JD would be fed into the ATS, right? And what would happen now once you upload your resume? So the ATS will check that whether all these things are reflected in your resume well or not.
Okay.
If it is reflected, your resume gets shortlisted. If it is not, it is just not percentage. It is all about fitment according to the JD.
Okay.
That is most important. People get confused that my resume score on ATS is 99. Oh my God, I got fantastic resume. No. Let us see the fitment which happens. So the generic, resume softwares and ATS softwares, they would only talk about percentage. They will not talk about the right kind of fitment. There is a platform which is called as topresume.com. So that's one of the best platform I have ever used.
Okay.
So once you feed your resume into it, it generally takes 7-10 days of time, and it would send you a detailed report based on job fitment, not just your ATS score.
Okay. Job.com.
Resume.com. Topresume.com.
Topresume.com. Okay. So everyone can get their details into that. Okay. That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, so how important are LinkedIn profiles, projects and certifications in strengthening a resume today?
See, LinkedIn is very important, to be very honest, because I have been into LinkedIn since long, and I'm the founder for LinkedIn Local Bhubaneswar as well, a local community. So now, when you're talking about LinkedIn, let me tell you, LinkedIn's slogan is, the tagline generally says, is your network is your net worth.
Net worth, yes.
The more people you know, the better it is. The better reach you have, the better it is. Now, when you're talking about LinkedIn, now let me tell you from recruiter's perspective. Now, being a recruiter, I'll not ask somebody else a Facebook URL, Instagram URL. The reason being so, these are more personal. But when it is LinkedIn, it is more professional. Now, suppose for an interview, if I call a candidate and take an interview, so maybe it would last for half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour. But if I see your LinkedIn profile and link and visit it, so maybe I'll get the data of last 5 years.
Okay.
I'll come to know about your persona. So just having half an hour of interview will not suffice. But if I am getting time and I can go through your LinkedIn profile and all that, LinkedIn, details. So that would give me a better understanding about you as a person. And that is the reason generally people, recruiters, they ask for the LinkedIn profile link.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, LinkedIn, when you're talking about LinkedIn and all that, so LinkedIn presence is important, but again, being involved into LinkedIn is also important. And as you rightly said that there are lots of certifications, projects, possibilities and all that on LinkedIn. Yes, it is. So the best professional network I would say is LinkedIn, and people need to be active. So there are LinkedIn learning courses which people can avail. There are projects which are available on LinkedIn itself. There are internship, jobs, everything, what not. So the most important part is how a student is exploring LinkedIn. And when we were talking about resume, if you remember, I generally said that people should also mention their LinkedIn LinkedIn link, LinkedIn profile link. And LinkedIn also has a resume facility. So LinkedIn also comes with a resume facility. So once I go to your LinkedIn profile, if it is all complete, I can also have an option, being a recruiter, I would have an option of downloading your LinkedIn resume as well.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So the last question for you is, if a student has only 7 days before campus placements, what should they do to improve their resume quickly?
So I'll say there is no shortcut. The resume has to be built not just before 7 days of time. It has to be built in due course of time. So it comes up well. But anyways, if the student has 7 days of time and all that, he or she has to prepare the resume. So the basic things which we talked initially, we started with the structure, the format, the look and feel of the resume. It should not be very
grammatical
fancy.
errors,
Grammatical errors,
type, yes.
quality. We talked about quantity, numbers and all that, which are very important. The more numbers, the better it is. But again, it should not be only numbers and numbers. Right. So these are the basic things which a student should put in a resume and all that. And every information has to be logical, sequential. That's very important. Because, I would always look for in a resume which is structured, systematic, well formatted, proper numbering and all that. And very important, wherever you mention anything else, and the outcomes. People generally, I'm just giving an example. People write about their SIP, summer internship projects. So they just write descriptions. So just not just writing about the objective. What is important as a recruiter for me would be the outcome. What you did there and what is the outcome? How has it helped the company, organization? So these things, few basic things which should be reflected in your resume very well.
Okay. So I have got a couple of rapid fire for you. So are you ready?
Yeah, of course.
So one resume myth students believe.
The more the merrier? No.
Okay.
It should be one pager.
Okay. One skill that impresses recruiters today.
Problem solving skills.
Okay.
I would add one more. Presence of mind.
Presence of mind. Okay. So resume length, 1 page or 2 pages?
Maximum 1. Should be 1.
Okay. One tip to get shortlisted faster.
Be honest.
Okay. One line every resume must have.
Key skills, capabilities, and if required, a professional summary.
So with this, we are towards the end of this podcast. And before I end, I have a question on my personal behalf and on behalf of my audience also. As you have worked for many reputed industries like IMPA, and you are presently into an reputed academic institutions. So especially for the MBA and BTech graduates, what would you suggest to build their career in academics or industry?
I would say it's all about interest and passion. So I had been into industry and then I have jumped into academics. So because of my passion and interest. But again, I would always suggest students to get into industry for some time. Because if you want to come to academics, it's all fine. You can always. But bringing that industry exposure and experience to academics would bring more value. Because a teacher or faculty would become real time. You can bring real-time exposure experiences, examples from industry to academics. Or else what would happen, you would only be limited to academics. So I would suggest industry exposure, bringing that exposure, experience, and all that, and then come down to academics would be a very good combination.
So for how long? What should be the minimum years?
5 years, at least 5 years, because unless until you do not have at least 5 years of experience and all that, so it becomes very shorter. And then again, in 5 years of time, you may also jump one or two companies.
Right.
So unless until you bring that stability, so you'll not be able to add value.
Right. So it is advisable to all the technical and management graduates to start their career with industries to get that relevant exposure where they can also explore themselves.
Absolutely. And then bring that exposure.
Yeah, bring that exposure to academics where they will have ample opportunities to build new careers.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. Okay, sir. With this, we are done with the podcast. Thank you very much for your time and presence. Even I'm pretty sure that this is going to one of the finest podcasts in our channel, because as the podcast mostly focuses on youth development and career development, so students माने ऑलरेडी से मानकर बहुत सारा डाउट्स क्लियर हे जाई थिबो कि माने से माने रिज्यूम को केमते बिल्ड करि परबे, केमते मॉडिफाई करि परबे, एंड एज यू सेड कि माने डिपेंडिंग ऑन द रिक्वायरमेंट और द जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन से माने केमते फिटिंग करि परबे निजर पोटेंशियल कैपेबिलिटीज, एक्सपीरियंस एंड एक्सपोजर. थैंक यू वेरी मच वंस अगेन सर.
Thank you so much.